How's it going, everyone? Jesus here, aka Tyrant Dominus, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about Anchor. Anchor is the one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. Honestly, Anchor is a very enjoyable platform to be on, listen on, and just a joy to be a part of this community. Anchor, come check us out. And welcome back to Reactioncast. It's your host Jesus, aka Tyrant Dominus, and this time around we're going to be talking about the 25th Marvel movie Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This one was directed by Dustin Daniel Cretton and starring Simu Liu. So Shang-Chi. I would say Shang-Chi is one of the first few films in Phase 4 that felt like we're starting something up again. Because going into Black Widow, it was fun, but it was really just a big flashback. So going into this film, it felt like refreshing, brand new. There were a couple callbacks which were fun, but it was basically a brand new level of entertainment. So going into kind of some of my thoughts on this film, some pre-notions that I thought for this film, because Shang-Chi is actually not very prevalent in a lot of the comics, which is interesting when I was like doing some research pre-hand on his character, because I'm a huge fan of martial arts kung fu films. That's what I grew up watching with my father. So having like a fun martial arts like superhero was like fantastic, because the idea is like it's gonna be some fun choreography. There was some fun choreography in this film, but not as much as I was hoping for. Like, there were some fun like moments and set pieces that made a lot of the fight scenes really fun, but I was just hoping for a little bit more. It was very fluid, and I actually fell back to some like traditional like fight scenes from old films. But maybe I've been accustomed to kind of some of the more rougher Americanized fight scenes that we get these days. But overall, some of the fight scenes for this martial arts superhero were fun for the most part. The character of Shang-Chi and the storyline that we're getting here is, for the most part, very simple, not that difficult to follow. You get the son of this like very ancient organization that's been trying to not really take over the world, but his father's like this great man who's been trying to seek power. And then through the film, we actually get to learn a lot about this, and he's not this. It's not that he's like a one-note character. There is some depth to his to the villain, and I kind of actually enjoyed that. A lot of villains don't get that much depth, so getting a little bit more. It is more of a parental villain, which was interesting to say the least. Getting to some of the aspects, I'm trying to stay away from like all the aspects of the racial stuff, because for the most part it's fantastic to finally have an Asian superhero into the mix. More so one that was kind of inspired from that time. Luckily, they took away some of the negatives that were prevalent during those times on some of the old Shang-Chi comics. But they did kind of make fun of it in the film. They even made a couple of fun references to some old films and things like that. And it worked. It worked there. The comedy in this movie was fantastic, actually. The first 2 acts really did a good job, mostly with Shang-Chi's best friend, Katie, played by Awkwafina. She did a fantastic job being the comedy relief, though her later performances during the final act were somewhat a bit forced, I would feel, but overall she did play a fantastic role as his best friend and comedy relief. It was fantastic. She was funny. Going back into Simu Liu's performance as Shang-Chi, he did a great job, and some of the lines that were given to him for this film were he did a really great job. He felt like a kung fu superhero. He felt like a superhero. His demeanor, his overall what he was struggling through his character, did a fantastic job. It really showed that what he was suffering. He played it out really well on the screen. You could feel it through the screen that his character was when he was happy, he was happy. When he was dwelling at anything, he did you could feel it in his performance. Every moment he was on screen, he really pulled you into a lot of those scenes. The overall plot of the story is pretty interesting. I did not foresee the final act being the way it was. I'm not gonna really spoil anything, but yeah, the final act was a lot more grandiose than I thought it was gonna be. I'm not gonna deny that it wasn't fun, but it was more okay, that's where we're going. All right, I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy it. For the most part, there are 2 end credit scenes, so make sure you do stay for those. These are Marvel films, so be sure to stay. Some of the references, I'm gonna just kind of spitball a quick one because we see them in the trailer, like Wong fighting Abomination. Those were fun because then you get to kind of see a lot more references throughout the film, and a lot of mentions in here. You gotta remember this also takes place after the snap or the blip. They do mention this, so you kind of have to take that into notion. And it kind of also dwells into kind of Katie or Awkwafina's character's mentality also of this notion of you never know when things are going to end because it can go in a snap. But yeah, overall the film itself was a fun, really fun film. I don't know, maybe I was just hoping for a little bit more it's not like it wasn't action-packed. Maybe I just wanted a little bit more fun choreography in the fight scenes. When I'm thinking about it now, just thinking about it, it's not that the movie flowed well. It had a couple bumps here and there that kind of pulled me away from the story, but not so long that it was made me pull my phone and see what time it is. There was a few hiccups here and there. It's just I wanted a little bit more from this film. I can't really think more to say about this film because it's a fun film. Would I rewatch this film again? That's a good question. This is one of the things I always think about when thinking of a film, because some films on their own, it's great to watch them once and then like, okay, I'm kind of done with it. Not because it's bad, just because like once you've seen it, you've seen it, but you can come back to it again another time. I think this is one of those films. Like, I had fun watching it. Would I watch it immediately again? I don't think so, but if I, spend another week or so and want to rewatch it, I would. But some of those comedy scenes are really fun, but not enough to where I like want to rewatch the entire film. Yeah, overall, I enjoyed my time there. Maybe also another one of these things, like, people need to really understand like theater etiquette. I keep saying this. I'm gonna make this like a thing in the beginning. Like, please just don't be annoying in theaters. Like, I know we're back, but some people feel like they're still at home. Like, the films themselves can be very exciting to the crowd and everything. You can be like, oh my god, it's really fun moments like that. You get a lot, and it's fun to see when something amazing happens in the crowd, kind of all in one moment. But there's some times where it's just a single part being over outrageous, and it's just frustrating. I think those were one of the few times. It only happened twice in my viewing of this film, where we had someone literally behind us and they were just being obnoxious. And that kind of pulled me away from there. It's one of those things where the film itself, maybe if I was watching it at home, but this film needs to be, for sure has to be experienced in the cinema. Like, a lot of those like big action sequences and the music, oh my god, the score and the music were fantastic. I don't know, I think I forgot to mention that. The soundtrack was interesting. I did not know that 88 Rising was the one producing the music or who worked on the music. And I forgot who did the score, but the score was so great. Very throwback to a bunch of old school kung fu martial art films. It's just, you just felt it. It just, anytime you kind of heard the melody and these things, even like training montage, things like that, I'm gonna just give this a score because it's, without spoiling anything, it's just hard. Because so like getting into like being the 25th film into the Marvel universe, like there's a lot to live up to, but you have to remember that this is the Phase 4, a new chapter into what we're getting. So you have to take that into consideration. This is like, because I was saying this when I was leaving the film, this is one of the great starting points moving forward into the next chapter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it was, oh god, yeah, even after with the after credit sequence, not the after credits, is it after credits or no, I forget. The stinger, oh my god, what are they? Is it after credits and then the stinger, right? So the after credit scenes for this one was fantastic. It left me asking questions. I really want to know more. And the characters of Shang-Chi and Katie were so fun to be around with. You just wanted to be friends with them, and you felt that in just like who they were. They're just fun characters, even throughout the whole thing, leading towards the end, because it just kind of flowed that well. Score and music were really fun to listen to and really well done in certain sections. I'm gonna give this film, Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, and some of the lore too was interesting too, what they were doing, because Shang-Chi doesn't really have that much lore to his character, so they could really have done a lot with it. So what I'm gonna give this film, I'm gonna give this one a 7 out of 10. It was a good film. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining enough where I just had a good couple chuckles. I was pulled through, but there was a couple of hiccups here and there that I felt that it could have done better, or it could have improved a little bit better. Some of the plot points were hit or miss, and yeah. But besides that, it was a good film. It was a good film. So let me know what you thought about the film. Send me a message on Twitter or Instagram under this post to let me know what you thought about the film. So yeah, thanks again for watching or listening. Until next time, see ya.